Ripples on Deep Water by Orphaned Account on AU3. Episode 33. Chapter 32. Stand by You. Shinsou Mihoko worried for her only son. It wasn't always like that. When he was little, he was perfectly happy child that babbled on, and she had to let herself hope that maybe, just maybe, he would have a normal life, a normal quirk. Mihoko's own quirk was called puppeteer. All she had to do was touch someone and their minds were as palatable as her will, as clay. She had hoped he wouldn't get her quirk. She, of course, was thwarted. Brainwashing. A verbal response to anything he said would let him control them. She watched as her chatty son slowly spoke less and less. Her oldest, Maya, had gotten Hajime's quirk. Seneca had gotten a quirk she called Sparkle, letting her glow faintly and sparkle if light hit her in a certain way. From Hakiko's father, her 14-year-old, Mika, had a quirk that caused anyone she touched to fall asleep. From Hajime's brother, Kirigo, of course, it was a blessing that Hajime and Maya were immune to it. Akihito was completely quirkless and deaf from an accident when she was little. Of course, it had to be her only boy that got a quirk she hated so much. She could never hate Itoshi, though. She loved Itoshi so much, but she couldn't help but blame herself for his misfortune. Then, the black and green-haired boy he brought home a few days ago, or if Hajime is to be believed, he snuck in at 3:30 a.m., appeared in Hitoshi's life. She wasn't oblivious. It was fairly obvious her son had it bad for the incredibly short boy. She also very clearly saw how much more Hitoshi talked when the support champion of the sports festival was around. How none of his words were carefully chosen, modulated so that his quirk couldn't leak through. How free he looked. She also noticed that Akihito had become rather attached to Midoriya because they were both quirkless, and had somehow roped Sanakan into calling him Zuni. 2 weeks had come and passed, and Mihiko soon got used to seeing the two boys, collapsed into the strangest places. Apparently Mika's doing, so that they wouldn't go to school on 0 hours of sleep, which was rather thoughtful of her. A few times on the couch, at a table, half buried in support items, even once when Midoriya was wedged behind the TV and Itoshi was curled at his feet. She figured Midoriya was trying to fix it, and he did, somehow. She had been certain Maya had broken it beyond repair. Today, Maya and Hajime went out. Maya had been called in a few days ago to help do makeup for a movie in Tokyo. Hajime had recently left for another 3-day shift. Hitoshi was dead asleep, for once in his own bed, and her 3 daughters were all in their room fast asleep. She had gotten up early on a Saturday to make breakfast and found Midoriya already awake, bent over what looked like a crossbow and talking to it in gentle tones. "Don't worry, we'll fix your voice." He was assuring it for whatever reason. "You don't have to hide in your crossbow form. I can't fix your voice unless you're a cat." The crossbow remained inanimate. "Trouble in paradise?" She joked. Midoriya glanced over, reaching up to scrub at his face. "My AI's voice box got fried, and she's pouting instead of letting me fix it." "Okay. Want coffee?" "Yes, please." She went about preparing the coffee, occasionally sparing Midoriya a glance. He eventually looked up at her. "You want to ask me something?" It was more of a statement than a fact of anything else, and she snorted to herself. If you don't mind it being a little bit personal. He frowned. If I don't want to answer, I'll just tell you. All right then. She leaned against the counter, thinking for a moment. I don't want to sound rude, but why have you been staying here? I'm always happy to have a friend of Hitoshi's around, but it's a little odd. He blinked solemnly, back, seeming to think it over. Sorry, I forgot it was weird for friends to be over for more than a day. I'm in the process of being made a ward of UA, and I'm just kind of hopping around my friends' houses until the dorms for staff and wards are finished. A ward of UA? Oh, she shouldn't have asked. It's fine, he told her plainly, as if he could read it in her face. I'm I'm not okay with it, but I'm better off than I was. Me and my mom didn't get along very well. Oh, awkward silence. He was staring at the crossbow as if it would give him some kind of answer before he spoke again. The dorms are gonna be finished by Friday. I'm figuring out how to say goodbye to everyone. Well, you'll visit, won't you? He blinked, as if that hadn't even occurred to him. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Mihako laughed out loud. That's what moms are for, Midoriya-kun. The boy had this look on his face that looked almost pained. I'm sorry if this is awkward, but can you call me Izu? I've been practically living with you for the past weeks, and it's what my aunt calls me. Mihako snorted internally as she felt a swell of affection in her chest. If Hitoshi doesn't scoop the boy up, Mika sure as hell will. It's also now made some form of sense how Maya and Akiho call him Tsukuni. He was apparently very good at making connections in the Shinso family. Call me Auntie Mihako then. She agreed, pouring the coffee grounds into the maker. Then you could call it even. He mumbled some form of agreement, and she took that as a victory for her. Oh, and she was definitely going to try to hook him up with Atoshi. She wasn't oblivious to her son's pining, and she wasn't oblivious to his either. Shota checked and rechecked the address on his phone. According to Hatsume, this was the Shinso house. Midoriya was staying here instead of her place, so these two could spend time together before Midoriya didn't have a reason to leave UA campus, which he kind of got. Shota was a bit uncomfortable with the idea of sharing basically an apartment building with the other staff, especially Yagi, and the two, now three, wards, but he would make it work. Somehow. Knocking at the door, he stood awkwardly, facing it, waiting for someone to arrive. He heard someone screeching, "Door!" and several people running around until finally someone wrenched the door open. A man that somehow just looked like an aged up Shinso, minus the silver pupils, leaned against the frame of the door with a lazy grin. "You must be Aizawa. Come on." With no other preamble, the man turned around and led him in. A woman with pale blue, silvery hair and clear blue eyes. She was the one Shinso got his silver pupils from. Similar quirk, maybe. Was sitting on the couch in the living room. He led to. Sighing to go to get your brother, to a 5 or 6-year-old that just looked like a carbon copy. Another girl, this one looked about 14, with hair a few shades darker than who he assumed was her brother's, was properly against the wall, half lidded, eyes that looked like blue eyes. Two young women had draped themselves over the couch instead of sitting on it like normal people. The elder was practically identical to Shinso, but her hair was cut short and spiked dramatically, and the obvious feminine features. The younger had pale lilac hair and dark blue eyes, a soft glow emitting from her skin. Coco, he's here. The woman had been signing to the child, who was now running off, gave her husband a stoic glare. Really? I hadn't noticed. Mihoko? The woman turned and gave Shouta a warm smile. I'm Shinso Mihoko, but call me Mihoko. Too many Shinsos in this household for formalities. That idiot next to you is my husband, Hajime. We're Hitoshi's parents. Those are his sisters. She pointed them out as she rattled off their names. From oldest to youngest, we have Maya. The Shinso look-alike waved vaguely. Sanaka, Glow Girl, looked up from what seemed to be a camera in her lap. Younger than Hitoshi is. Mika. The tired girl against the wall nodded. And our youngest, Akihito, just ran up to get the boys. Aizawa Shouta. He introduced awkwardly. He wasn't a big on the whole child thing, but somehow this pairing seemed perfectly content with 5 of them. There was a thunder of footsteps, led by the youngest Shinso, and closely followed by her brother and Midoriya. Mama! She crowed loudly. I got them! Sure did. She signed before offering an explanation. Akihito's profoundly deaf. He shrugged. My husband's really hard of hearing. He heard muffled swearing from the middle Shinso child, and Shouta shook his head slightly as he forked over some yen to Midoriya, who just offered a smug grin Shouta's way. Come on, Hironi, the girl leaning on the wall said in a chasing tone, her eyes cracking open more to glare. You're ruining the Shinso name out here. We've told you to stop betting against Izuku. Shouta grumbled in return. You got your crap problem, child? Most of it's in my locker or at my workshop, he murmured, hoisting a duffel bag over his shoulder. And Mimi's bringing the clothes I don't have with me on Monday, so, yeah, basically. Come on, then. Izuku was nervous. According to Aizawa, there were 2 other wards, which meant he was gonna be living with 2 other kids. Fuck. Aizawa led him into the building, and he found himself sitting in the kitchen area. A familiar first year sat at the table, along with an elf-eared teen he didn't recognize. Firen? He blinked. Firen smiled and waved a bit. Hey, Izuku. She gestured at the boy across from her. This is Amajiki Tamaki. He's the other ward, a 3rd year. Right, your family's still in Ireland? He realized. Freem grinned and nodded. I am from Gadspa, which is an Irish-speaking part of Ireland. My parents and siblings could not uproot, so I had to learn in a Japanese school. Yue offered to make me a ward here. He nodded, understanding somewhat. Nice to meet you, Amajiki-kun. Amajiki lifted his hand to wave weakly, and Izuku moved on, a bit dazed. That wasn't so bad. Ah, young Midoriya. It got worse. He slid to the side, tactfully taking refuge, not hiding, behind Aizawa and shooting All Might, in his withered form, an ugly look. I'm Yagi Toshinori. I know who you fucking are. He spat, feeling repulsed, crawling up his throat and dying in his mouth, leaving a vile taste. And I ain't fucking interested. Amajiki stared, his brown eyes wide, and Freeman looked a bit put off. What's your beef with Yamada-san? She asked. Oh, right, they probably don't know. He's a fucking bastard is what is. He bit, hitching the bag back onto his shoulder and shouldering past the skinny form of All Might and to the stairs. Aizawa had said he was on the top floor, sharing the top floor with other wards, Freerin and Amajiki, apparently, so they could have free range to be as chaotic as possible, or something. It was mostly implied that they were put up there so that Izuku could keep his babies as far from the teachers as possible, which was valid. Wait up, Izuku! Firen hurried up after him, a few textbooks in her arms, and a small frown on her face. You alright? Fine. He snapped, then stopped himself. Sorry, that was rude of me. You don't deserve that. I'm frustrated right now, but I'll be fine eventually. Her tiny frown vanished, replaced by a relieved smile. That's good to hear. Hey, your Japanese is better, he mentioned, offering an awkward grin back. He knew it didn't reach his eyes, but she seemed to accept it nonetheless. Yes, Pearl Swin, Arya, is teaching me. She's a very patient teacher. I thought she was mute. He glanced at her confused. She is not, Farron corrected, shaking her head slightly. Her quirk is called music theory. She could sense emotions like an empath would, but her voice can affect the emotions of people around her depending on, um, inflection? I think that's the word for it. Her singing is more powerful, but even speaking could be difficult sometimes. Cool. Izuku finally reached the top of the stairs, letting Frieren unlock the door and lead him in. Design studios that way. She pointed left. And bedrooms that way. She pointed right. Small kitchenette we are in now. We each have our own small bathroom. Little living room is also here. Izuku nodded, glancing around. It wasn't luxurious, thankfully, but it was nice. Better than his mom's house. I wanted to add you to the 1F group chat earlier, but I do not know your phone number. She frowned. Oh, my phone doesn't do group chats? Izuku pulled his phone from his pocket, and Furin got the most offended look on her face. Izuku? What's up? We base Siri off a string of codes you made yourself and follow the designs of her AI in your notebook. And Biomateria is your invention. You have made floor breaking technology. You built your own tablet. You made a private Wi Fi server that Nezu somehow hasn't noticed yet, so we can steal internet from the bitchy 1D boy who picked on Hitoshi. How in the hell are you using a flip phone? He looked at his small black phone, scrunching his eyebrows. I don't see a problem with it. It's the only one I could afford, and it's really all I need. Nope, Izuku, you follow me. She dragged him by the wrist to the design studio, forcing him to sit down in a chair and starting to rifle through different drawers, murmuring to herself in Irish before pulling out a box of phones. Pearl gave me these. She fried the batteries with her quirk by mistake and wanted me to fix them, so she won't miss one. How did she break so many? Overloaded the circuits with her consciousness. Most phones can't take it. This one. She pulls out a sleek black model of what looked like the newest iPhone, the iPhone XOX, which was a stupid name if he'd ever seen it, but it was released on a European holiday called Valentine's Day. What the fuck? Worked very well until the comedy boy accidentally shocked it. I fixed it already, and Pearl has a new one. Try it. Izuku murmured blankly to himself, turning the phone on and glaring at the screen as it lit up. Eventually, it started asking him to put in passwords. No phone number. This will cause problems with connecting others. Enter phone number and then enter the confirmation code to send that to that phone. Izuku rolled his eyes, doing as the device demanded, and 5 minutes later, Frien was aggressively putting in the people from her contact list into his phone. It wasn't his fault that he didn't really have many people's phone numbers, and they might be only his mom, blocked, Toshi, and Meme. Fuck. He really didn't have a life, did he? Colin Friana had added Midoriya Izuku, Aizawa Shouta, and 14 others. Click to see list. To group chat 1. Midoriya Izuku. Kami, I hate this already. Colin Friana. Second, Cole and Brianna has changed their nickname to Shirobul. Shirobul has changed Midoriya Izuku's nickname to Small Boy. Shinobu has changed the chat name from Group Chat 1 to Bastards of UA. Shouta Aizawa. Absolutely not. Shouta Aizawa has left Bastards of UA. Nezu has added Shouta Aizawa to Bastards of UA. Shouta Aizawa. Fuck. Nezu. Winky Face. Nezu has changed their nickname to God. God has gone idle. Small Boy. Thanks. I hate it. Now how do I install? Normal. Frowny Face. Fine, I will give you a better nickname. Chernobyl has changed Small Boy's nickname to Loki. Yamada Hizashi has come off idle. Yamada Hizashi. Why is my phone buzzing? Oh. Smiley Face. Shouta Aizawa. Not you too. Yamada Aizawa has changed their nickname to Screech. Screech has changed Shouta Aizawa's nickname to Angrily. Screech has changed Kamayami Nomuri's nickname to Sadist. Screech has changed Snipe's nickname to Yeet. Screech has changed Khan's nickname to Ho. Screech has changed Ishiyama's Ken's nickname to Stroke. Screech has changed 13's nickname to Such Space Much Wow. Screech has changed Majami Higari's nickname to Duchiro. Screech has changed Yamada Toshi's nickname to Twig. Screech has changed Lunch Rush nickname to Hungry. Screech has changed Akayami Tamaka's nickname to Shy Boy. Loki. And now to Purge. Angry. What? Loki has been given admin privileges. Chernobyl. I did not do that. God has come off idle. God. Winky Face. God has gone idle. Loki. The rat's full of shit I can hack by myself. Loki has kicked Twig from Bastards of UA. Chernobyl. Why? Shy Boy has come off idle. Shy Boy. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark? Loki. He's a bitch. Hungry. Me next, please. I don't want to be here. Loki has kicked Hungry from Bastards of UA. Loki. At everyone. Anyone else that isn't Aizawa want to be kicked because I know how to. Loki. At God. Has made his will clear. Angry. Rude. Several users has come off idle. Such space much wow. Me. Stroke. Me. Yeet. Me. Ho. Me. Loki has kicked Such Space Much Wow, Stroke, and 2 others. Click to see list from Bastards of UA. Loki. Is there even a point to try and kick myself? Chernobyl. Haha, no. Loki. Valid. I don't actually have much to say. Other than, username guideline. No, don't tell me there's gonna be more. No. No, there's gonna be more chats. No! No! I hate chats with a passion. With a passion. It's the stupid sound effects. I hate it. I might not do the sound effects just for this. I don't like the sound effects. Okay, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.